Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hashtag no stopping you. It is Thursday, and interesting Thursday for me because for the first time in this young baseball season, we actually are off. At least many of us on my crew. It's a nationally televised game. So if you're in Kansas City, you're looking for your Royals tonight, Fox 4 is where they will be, and then we'll be back tomorrow. So it'll be good to, I'll still be watching from home. But it'll be good to, to be watching from afar. And then if they win tonight, everybody can blame us for bringing them all the losses. That's the way it works in the world of sports. Big thanks to KCADC for the Kansas City audiovisual studios here. They have hooked me up with a phenomenal spot, the lighting, the sound, all of that. Right here with the home studios. It's been great because I've been able to use it not just for this podcast, but for interviews for baseball and to be able to actually do work from home until I have to get to the stadium. So if you have audio and visual needs, check them out, kcav.com. They do major projects. So if you're looking for something big, I can highly recommend them. There's so much going on right now in the world, certainly in Kansas City, in the region. By the way, that's always the case. It just looks a little bit different right now. And a guy that can tell us all about every bit of it is my good friend, President and CEO of the Kansas City Area Development Council, Tim Cowden, KCADC for short, and he's got the perfect red heart KC logo over his shoulder. Tim, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Joel. How are you?
I'm doing good. I know that you hang in there with every one of these wins or lately losses. So, because I hear about it from you, not in a bad way, by the way. It's always in an optimistic way. But, I sit there and I think about it. By the way, I've got friends that it's not as optimistic of a way, but yours is never complaining. Yours is always, let's get it tomorrow. But right. I know, and I've wrestled with this a little bit because just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean you can justify a loss or a bad performance. But then I keep trying to remind myself that a few weeks ago we just were craving sports, and at least we have it back right now.
Yeah, it's awesome to be able to turn you on. It brings a sense of familiarity and comfort to your rhythm during the summer. And I'm just not saying that because I'm on your show, man. I tell you that all the time. It's really cool to see you and the whole team, and we'll get some wins. I love seeing all the young talent. That's pretty cool. Matheny and Dayton and the crew are rolling them out. We need some more hits. I think that'll come. But I look at this as really just extended spring training and get these guys some really good exposure, put them in the fire, see how they react. And we got some studs, man. We're gonna be good.
We do. Now you know as well as I do that we could just talk baseball for the next 30 minutes, and you would be really happy with that. I know you would be really happy with that. And we'll touch on a little baseball, but there's also too much to talk about in terms of our city and our region, and that's where you come in. I'll start with sort of the heavier question first. What have you seen over these last 4 months? I mean, this much I know without even having asked you this yet, even before we came on, that there's a heart to this region beyond what's over your shoulder and beyond the name the Heartland. So I expect and am never surprised by the resiliency of the people here in this area. What have you seen from businesses across the region?
Joel, that's a really good question. Super important question right now. I see it. My team sees it. This is just such an adaptable business community. And I know that Jeff Carson and the team at Enterprise are sponsoring you and this podcast. They're terrific. And, what the financial community has done to step up to help businesses here, all cap and trying to create opportunity for minority businesses, small businesses, because so many of these organizations are getting hurt. But I've just been really amazed at the resiliency and how just all of us in Kansas City, and you can apply this across the country, I know, but how adaptable we are. Because in March, I'm in my office now, and probably 75% of our team regularly works from home. 25% comes in the office. We're cool with that. This is a really safe place to be. But every business in town is adapting to whatever works for them. And our team, man, I got to tell you, our team is killing it. Yesterday, We were part of a big team that announced Urban Outfitters that's moving a huge e-commerce fulfillment operation here, 880,000 square feet, about $350 million worth of investment in 2,000 jobs. So you think about that in the middle of a pandemic, we've had this announcement. We had Chewy.com about 2 weeks ago down in Belton, another 1,000 jobs. We've got a lot of activity in food, manufacturing, e-commerce, data centers. So the region's performing. This is a great opportunity for us. And I hear from so many of our investors and community leaders and those just, my neighbors. And everybody's adapting to it differently, but we're getting through it because we are, we're a highly adaptable species. We're getting it done.
We are, and that's not in any way to say it isn't easy, because it hasn't been, and that's true for everyone. Even the companies that are thriving right now, everyone's had to adjust, and I've said that for months now, over and over again. It just dawned on me that before, and I think a lot of people that are watching this will be people that have interacted with you and your staff and have been to some of the events that you guys have, and so maybe they know what you do, but there might be a lot of people that aren't watching either. So KCADC, it could be a mouthful that it rolls right off the tongue as far as I'm concerned. So maybe explain a little bit of what you guys do at the Kansas City Area Development Council.
Yeah, in short, we're the sales and marketing team for the region. So we go out and identify opportunities, primarily companies, but also talent that are looking to move anywhere in the country. And we position Kansas City as a product and compete against other markets, just like the Royals compete against other MLB teams. We compete against other cities and regions across the country for jobs. So the urban deal, they looked at markets primarily in the central U.S., and we position Kansas City for that win. We don't win them all, but we're in the game, and it's how you compete. And that's what I'm most proud about with our team. And I work with some rock stars, and you know that, Joel. I get to work with some terrific, talented professionals. And all we ask is just, hey, man, compete hard. And if we compete hard and really do everything we can around controlling the process and make it as easy as possible for our customers, and that's what we call these companies that are evaluating KC, is they're our customers. If we can make it easier for them to choose the Kansas City region, again, that's really important distinction, because my group represents the region. That's 18 counties, both Missouri and Kansas. So, last month we had a big announcement in Belton, Missouri. Yesterday, big announcement in KCK. Next week, it might be Overland Park, or it might be Lee Summit. That's the way it works, and because that's the way our customers look at it. They don't know where the lines are. They don't care. They just look at Kansas City as one market, one region. And we were one of the first organizations in the country set up to represent a region. Got a great history and lineage with support from H&R Block, and Hallmark, and many other corporate titans in town. So we just keep doing our thing.
It just dawned on me when you describe it that way, that when people that aren't from here ask that, I wouldn't call it a dreaded question, it's just a silly one to me. Oh, you're from Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, without one understanding what the difference is. They don't really even know which one is the big city and which one. But your answer is pretty simple. Both.
Right.
All of it.
Joel, and it's right over my shoulder. You can see it, the KC. And those two letters are so powerful, because you think about it, how many regions or cities in the country are identifiable by two letters? I mean, you think, okay, New York, NY, LA, SF, there are a few others, but KC is so identifiable with our region. So when I'm out on either coast or anywhere, people ask me where I'm from, so I'm from KC. And a lot of people do that, and they automatically know what you're talking about. We did a lot of research on this. You go to New York, California, Washington State, talk about Kansas City, and that initial KC pops right up. People really identify with it, and it's super powerful, and we're using it to really be our platform to message to talent, to companies anywhere across the country.
Well, let's talk about that, because from a branding standpoint, and one of my early guests on this podcast was Chase McAnulty from Charlie Hustle Company, and course, when Paul Rudd started wearing that KC Hart shirt, and I'm not sure that he was the one to springboard it, but it certainly helped. I know that. Look, you can't go anywhere in town right now without somebody wearing one of those potentially every day of the week. Flags are flying now, and people, I mean, as we spent so much of this early period in lockdown, I think many of us started getting out and walking and doing all those things because we needed some fresh air. And I would have so much pride when I'd see these KC Hart flags flying from people's homes, and the same feeling I get when I see those shirts. How significant is that logo for you and the identity of this region?
Oh, it's incredibly important, and Chase and his team at Charlie Hustle. I mean, that heart and that KC, it's been around for a long time, Joel. You know that. I mean, the Monarchs had a patch on their 42 jersey. It goes back to signposts around the plaza. I mean, people associate the heart of America, the Heartland in KC. So we were going through a whole process about a year ago, trying to figure out, okay, we really want to refresh our regional brand. And our team and others, we kept walking around just like you described. In town, anywhere you go, you see the heart and the KC on T-shirts, on flags. You know what? Let's take something that's already working and let's leverage it. Let's not try to create something that it's going to take a long time. I don't know if we'd ever even get the buy-in for it. Mm-hmm. So we approached Chase and Greg and their team, said, hey, we've got this idea. We'd like to see if you would allow us, a not-for-profit, to use this mark, this Heart KC, as our regional brand. And we got some really cool ideas on how we could leverage it and take it out to market. And I remember Chase looking across the table at me and my team. He said, man, what's taking you so long? We've been waiting for somebody to approach us so that we can basically gift the heart back to the community. Because they really just been borrowing it from the community, right? They made it cool. They made the Heart KC cool. They put on a T-shirt, Chase and his team, man, they're designers. They're super cool. So they said, hey, man, absolutely. So we worked out an agreement, pretty simple, and give a lot of credit to Chase, man, because I don't know how many people would have done that, but he did, his team did, and he understands that, hey, the lineage of that heart and that KC goes way back. A lot of people can point to it, and we're taking it out in the market, man, and it is really being well received, and so I'm really proud of that.
Well, he represents Kansas City. I mean, that's the spirit of this area, and anyone that's met Chase knows exactly what he's all about. There are a couple websites that I do want to be able to promote, and people can always find out information about the KCADC and this region at thinkkc.com. But you were just telling me about another website that people can go to, and I want to share this because to me it's really it's such a sign of the times of the creativity. So here it is, KC Heartland, follow your heart, and this is direct messaging that people might see on a baseball game, right?
Right, and this is our consumer brand. So this was, again, the essence of going to Chase and his team last year and saying, hey, we got this idea of taking the heart out to the world because it's already out in the world. So let's just build upon that. So we were able to secure kc.org, that URL, which wasn't all that cheap. We got it done. Our former CMO made that happen. So we built a lot of really cool content around kc.org, and we approached the Royals. We had a great relationship with the Royals. Jason Booker, Jason Kramer, the entire business team up there, they're terrific. Said, hey, we want to message KC, the Heart, in Chicago. We want to do it in Seattle. We had grand plans to do a really big event and focus around the Merit series early in the season. You know what happened with that, right? Never happened. So we shifted, said, hey, Chicagoland is a really big source of talent and companies that are interested in Kansas City. So we approached the Royals. They're incredibly great about it. And out in the outfield, you'll see the kc.org, the Heart. Last night, it was out there during the Cubs series. See it behind home plate occasionally. And we're driving traffic to kc.org. So if you're watching this in Chicago, watching the game in Chicago, like tonight, which will be a national game, which will be amazing, somebody jumps on and say, what's KC.org? Pop on it. There's all sorts of great content as to why they should consider moving their family, themselves, their company to Kansas City. And give, again, a lot of credit to the Royals for allowing us to do that, making us a great deal. They're terrific.
My friend Frank Clay, president of the National Speakers Association in Kansas City, says, follow your heart, important. And then, like he says, have a heart is a good spin going forward. You have so much flexibility here with that word heart. And I think, look, I think any community would say we have heart. And I'm sure it's true. We have different feels in different places, but anyone that's here understands that. I think I certainly do. So put your sales hat on for a minute, Tim. Somebody sees KC.org, they check it out, they're interested, they call up KCADC and they say, why should I be interested in Kansas City? I know it's not quite that quick and simple, but what do you tell them?
Well, we certainly approach them and listen to everything that is of most importance to them. And basically it's, hey, you can do anything you want in Kansas City. I mean, when you look at some of the issues with COVID, for example, and people in really dense markets like Chicago and New York, man, a little freaked out about that. Well, we can provide you a lot less density here. I think out of 50 major markets in the country, we're the 49th least dense, but there's still a lot of density for us. I mean, you go to downtown Kansas City, it's dense. It's a great environment if you want that. But if you want to be out and spread out, we have it. So the theme of our annual meeting coming up in November is going to be choice. We can give you, the consumer, wherever you are, we can give you choice. You can live urban, you can live suburban, you can live rural, you can have a horse ranch, you can be downtown, you got it all, got choice. With 2 states and multiple communities, that's it. But our team's going to listen. And we're not going to go in and start with this sales pitch. Just sit down and say, hey, what's important to you? And then we'll tailor our approach for them. And that seems to work.
You mentioned your annual meeting. It's one of the best. And I'm upset that I did not get the chance to go last year and I had a speech that had already been booked, but I think Guy Raz is one of the hands down best interviewers in this country, and his podcast is amazing. The year before, I know, was I think the year before was Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Yes.
And you guys bring in just the most amazing speakers. So on the website now, it says annual meeting reimagined online broadcast. Learn more about this year's impactful digital experience. I love the way that you guys always word everything. And look, you're making the best of a situation, clearly. Yeah. And you could still do what you've always done. It will not have the same feel of the 1,000 people or whatever it is in that huge ballroom downtown. However, I know it'll still be amazing. So what has that been like in planning really your crown jewel of an event?
Yeah, well, thanks, Joel, for those comments about it. It's we are very proud of our annual meeting. When you can get 1,700 people from across the region, it's really a big cheer rally for Kansas City. And what I've always heard, and I hear it now, is that people love coming to that because when they leave, they feel good. Mm-hmm. Regardless of if you live in Gladstone or you live in Miriam, you leave and you say, hey, I feel really good about KC. But this is going to be very different, right? This could be a different year because we can't get 1,700 people in a ballroom. And you mentioned the team right now, Jessica, Jennifer, John, Angela, Darcy, they're all back in our conference room talking about our annual meeting. It's going to be cool. It's going to be all digital. It's going to be live streamed. It's going to be directed at the community because in the past, it's really been at our KCADC investors. So they've got some really cool ideas about how we're going to basically stream this and make it available to the entire community. And one thing I always hear is from folks after having left our meeting is, hey, they love the video. The video is like it. So we're going to have a kick-ass video this year, and it'll be able to be used in a lot of different ways by a lot of different people, regardless of whether or not you're tied to KCADC. And I'm really excited about that.
Well, that video it's special, and you know that. You hear it from everyone. I'll just be the next one to confirm that opinion. So I'm guessing it'll be bigger and badder than ever, even if delivered in a different way, because I know the creativity. And look, let's be honest with it. I'm not trying to take away from the hard work and the creativity of all of your staff and the other people that contribute to this too. You got a hell of a product to sell. From a starting point, that really helps.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a great product. We know that. But as great as Kansas City is, and you see this, Joel, I mean, you travel all over the country. We know how great KC is compared to others, but there are a lot of great places in the country, you know, and if you're from Dallas or if you're from Raleigh, everybody there thinks, hey, their place is the best. So that's what's really cool about, I think, what we do as a big regional team is just elevating the partnership. And again, looking at that heart over my shoulder, I mean, that really embodies what KC is all about, man. Mm-hmm. It is really about teamwork. It's about a kindness. It embodies about, you know, who we are. And I think we have to work harder here. I mean, I think Kansas Cityans, I mean, we work harder to promote ourselves because we're out in the middle of the country. And for so long, and still we fight against it. People say, middle of the country, and what does that really mean? It must not be anything there. But everybody that's watching this and has experienced it, when you bring somebody to Kansas City that hasn't been here before, they're like, wow, man, I had no idea. It's such a beautiful place, and all this culture and the arts are thriving here, and obviously Major League Sports and restaurants. So you got to get people here, and that's what's really important, I think, about what we're doing with the Heart, which is just a natural platform from which to communicate that.
So much going on in this world, and a great question from Kiana. She says, Tim, how important is retaining Black professionals here in our city to take part in retention of the city themselves in economic growth and contributing to KC? And I'll add to that too. I mean, not just retaining, but also attracting and bringing others from around the country, as you're doing every single day. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, Kiana. Thanks for that question. You know, my team hears me say this, you know, this isn't April of 2020 anymore. You know, a lot's changed. And in our region, our leadership as a community, we have to create an environment that's more welcoming, more equitable, and more inclusive for everyone. And those are, you know, for folks like Kiona who are here, we want them to stay here, you know, and we want more, you know, Black professionals from across the country to know that Kansas City is an open place. And we have work to do. I mean, not going to be a Pollyanna about it. A lot of places in our country have work to do around that. I'm excited about some of the things our organization is involved with around diversity and inclusion. I'm seeing it in the community. It's very, very important. It's been important for a long time, but now it's, you know, it's right there. It's a focal point. And again, we're headed in the right direction. We got a lot of work to do. And it is at the top of a lot of folks' priority lists in this community.
Well, we all have a lot of work to do, and we'll continue to do that work, and I look forward to seeing that progress. I told you that we would have to talk at least a little bit of baseball at some point, and so I have to pop this up here because...
You had to do this.
Well, I mean, Tim has been at every home and road game this year. Just...
There I am. Yep. There I am.
There he is. So good seats, and I would say a little bit overdressed for a baseball game.
Yeah, but the weather's been good the last couple.
The weather's,
you know,
you haven't seen me sweating on camera, which means that it actually must be really mild for August, which is true. It's felt like early October weather here. We would all love to be playing October baseball. What do you think about having the cardboard cutout?
I think it's pretty cool. I've received a lot of good-natured ribbing from friends from across the region and even from around the country. I thought it was pretty cool that the Royals did that, working with my team to make it happen. Had I known, I would have worn my fantasy camp jersey and I'd be cradling a Boulevard Pills in that picture. But I'm not. I'm wearing my stiff suit. So Dave Portnoy, you know, would say, "Hey, I'm just another suit." But I'm happy to be there, and we just need to get some wins.
Yeah, we do. I will say this, though, and I don't know that this is – I think this is kind of a branding – I guess it's a branding question or statement or observation that I think we've done it differently here. I think the Royals did it differently, and I don't know. I haven't looked at all the cutouts in every single stadium, but they've put so many iconic faces in the crowd, and you see the cardboard cutout of Buck O'Neill. I had Toby Cook on the podcast a couple of days ago, and you see the mayor, and you see Bob Kendrick, and you see Kathy Nelson, and you see Frank White, and multiple George Bretts, and all of that. I mean, I think too, and this certainly can't hurt you, because those are all positioned to be right on camera when you're selling this region.
Absolutely.
That there's a lot of pride in that, Tim.
There's a tremendous amount of pride. And I mean, you mentioned Bob Kendrick. I mean, what a great ambassador and representative for Kansas City. What he's done with the Negro Leagues Museum, and I mean, he's an inspirational guy, man. So I'm happy to call him my friend. I looked to him and said, man, he can really do it. So there's a lot of Bob Kendricks in Kansas City, and that's what's great about our community and our region, because everybody who's out and about is, if you're from Kansas City, man, you've got so much pride. You wear it on your chest. Again, going back to Chase and the Heart KC. I mean, people wear it. I mean, how many places in the country, Joel? You travel all over in normal times. Do you walk through Atlanta and people are walking around with Atlanta shirts on, have nothing to do with the Braves or the Falcons? Absolutely not. I mean, it's really, really special. And that's why we think it's so important to leverage that, because it's working anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the more people learn about it, the more they fall in love with it. No question about it. So a couple of things as we wrap up. One, you guys go through these all the time, but I know one of the big ones a couple of years ago was Amazon. And while it didn't work out, I've got to think that a process like that, of going through something so major and having to put on what must be the biggest presentation on steroids and beyond, right, is and you guys were in the running for that for a while. How do experiences like that help you today?
Well, again, as I said at the top of your show, it's about just being in the arena competing. And you learn every time you compete, right? Every time the Royals go out, I mean, they may get beat, but they learn something. And I love Matheny, man. He's so positive. I know he's taking that every time. The last week has been rough, but I bet he's taken 2 or 3 nuggets every time, whether it's individually or as a team, and say, let's build on this. We learn from it, move on. That's what we learned from Amazon. And we created a great platform, for them. We brought the community together. And then 2 years later, we had the opportunity with USDA to relocate 2 of their big agencies from Washington, D.C., about 600 highly paid headquartered folks from D.C. here. So what we learned with Amazon and some other pursuits, we applied there. So our animal health corridor folks were on it, what we've done around federal mission here. So we were able to bring it all together, and it came down to Raleigh-Durham, Indianapolis, and KC. And those are 2 other great places in the country. And Indy probably had the inside track. But when the team from USDA came here, because we were all together, we had a really focused message, and we delivered, hey, USDA, pick Kansas City. So, yeah, we learned from Amazon. We've applied that to T-Mobile. It's great to have T-Mobile in our community after their acquisition of Sprint. I know long-term they're going to be looking to grow this market, the campus out in Overland Park. So we learn every day. And you learn more from your losses than your victories. And we've had our share of losses, but we take that forward, and then we get our wins. So you look at, again, the Urban deal yesterday. I got to call out my colleague, Chris Gutierrez with KC Smartport, one of our initiatives. I mean, he knows that business, and he guided this project. It's probably been around 9-10 months, something like that, through a pandemic, never would let it die, kept it going, and here we are. And there were a lot of people on that team that made it happen across the region. But when Urban came in, they looked at, they go, man, this is kind of pretty complicated. You got Missouri, you got Kansas, you got 2 Kansas cities. How does all this work? Chris made it work. And he embodies what the organization's all about. We make it work.
Well, final question, and we'll just wrap all of this up with a bit of what you've talked about, but the COVID response and just the resiliency of this area. And I do think about this, like in a sports standpoint, we always say, we've got the best fans. And from a TV standpoint, we say, we've got the best crew, which I fully believe that we do. And I don't think I don't think this is lip service. I think it's a pride factor too. I believe from a TV standpoint, when we go to other places, we hear other markets and their crews talk about how they wish they could work with our crew because of how good our guys are. It's because they have that KC heart, though. I know this all sounds a little bit cheesy, but they have so much pride because the guys that work on our crew, the guys and gals that are shooting cameras and in the truck, they love the Royals, and so they're really good at what they do. They're also fans. They have pride in having grown up here or having moved here. So, how would you just sum up? I mean, I think about these last 4+ months. I think about what an Andy Rieger and Jay Rieger and co did. I think about the pivot and the way that Charlie Hustle tried to help out, not just with donating, that image, that logo, but the way they were helping out with masks. And there are a million of those stories too. How would you sum up overall just the spirit and the response of this region?
Yeah, you just said some great examples of people who really stepped up. I just think it means more to us. It means more to us that we come together. It means more to us that we help someone else. We're one of the most charitable communities in the country. We give more to foundations, to charities, to all of that. I think it just means more to us in the Heartland. And again, going back to that heart, it embodies so much about what's good about Kansas City. And we've got just so many different things going on in different areas. And I guess I just lost my lights.
You did. Welcome to live TV.
I'm glad I've got this on me. That was smart.
It made it to the end, but you know how many times that's happened to me in my career. Keep on rolling, Tim. Keep on rolling.
No, it's just, I think it means more to us. And when I walk around the neighborhood, I've really started to enjoy the more simple things in life. I think a lot of people are doing that. I take walks now. I never used to take walks, and I talk to people and on my walks, and people are just making it. And everybody's kind, and I know there's a lot of stress and things that are going on, but I think Kansas City, as we come through this, is going to be really well positioned on the other side. And very few markets across the country right now are having success like we are recruiting new companies here. So we're just scratching the surface. I give all the credit to my team, whether on the animal health side, Joe McCarthy leading our business development team, Smartport, Team KC. I'm proud for us that we represent this great region and that the people in our region put that much confidence in us to go out and do the right thing.
Well, I'm proud of all the work you guys do too. Of course, grateful for our friendship. People can find out more all the time, anytime at thinkkc.com, and check out the kc.org too. If you're watching from out of town, get a little bit of a feel. Well, you can check out both of those. Really, really great stuff. It's perfectly branded in just such a Kansas City way. And by that, I mean, not just the city, but of course the region. I mean, we've covered it all. So thinkkc.com, and hopefully the team will be 1-0 after a Tim Cowden appearance on Rounding the Bases Live. Or Joe, maybe just I'm not there tonight.
I'm confident that we're gonna shock the Cubs on national television tonight while you get a well-deserved break. I do want to say this to you, if I could, before we wrap. I think you do a wonderful job, and I'm just not kissing your backside here. I hear no one in the community. This is really an amazing feat. No one in the community complains about you. Everybody loves Joel Goldberg, man. Everybody loves Joel. And to be a personality like you, it's kind of like John Holt, man. I never hear anything negative about John Holt.
No, there's nothing.
Keep doing what you're doing. We're glad to have you in Kansas City, and you, my friend, embody everything that's good about this place.
Well, you're too kind. It's uncomfortable, but I will gladly take the very, very, very generous and kind compliment. There's some haters out there, trust me. Fortunately, you haven't met them yet, and we all have those. So.
We all have those, but I'll far many more lovers of Joel Goldberg, I'm sure.
I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you. You're a good man. I think the last time we saw each other in person was at the Chiefs AFC Championship. Actually,
that was fun. That's about 3 years.
Yeah, right. I should have queued up that picture. It was a great picture of you and I and David Keckner.
Yeah.
All three of us have been at the ballpark every night, but the two cutouts and me. So
right.
Maybe I'll go hang with you one night down at the ballpark. I'll just sit next to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Head on out there.
All right, Tim. Thanks. Have a great day. Stay safe. congratulations on everything, and kudos to you and all your staff for all the hard work, and keep it going.
Thanks, Joel. Have a good one.
Yep, you
Good
too.
job.
Tim Cowden, the President and CEO of the Kansas City Area Development Council. So a huge thanks to him. So we got the KCADC and we got KCAV, Kansas City Audio Visual. They've put together these studios. If you have audio visual needs at the highest of levels, please reach out to them or reach out to me and I can get you in touch with them too. They do phenomenal work. And Tim mentioned it. I appreciate it. The influence, the impact of companies like Enterprise Bank and Trust. There's so many important ones here in Kansas City. From a selfish standpoint, I love the relationship. Jeff Carson, Enterprise Bank, helping me bring these stories to you guys every single day. So hope you all have a good, healthy, safe, and happy Thursday. I'll see you back here tomorrow. This was episode 99. Tim was the Wayne Gretzky episode. So tomorrow is episode number 100. Who would have thought? I never did, but I love doing this. So have a great day, everybody. And I'll see you back here tomorrow on Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust.